Garden Art Lesson Plan number 10, Harvest Feast, Menu Design and Creation. So making the Harvest Feast is the culmination of our garden season, and by this time you should have been talking about what you would like to cook for your feast and start planning the menu. So at the Boys and Girls Club, these are some of the menus we came up with. We decided on various ethnic dishes, ruz buzela, which is a Syrian kind of stew, tabbouleh salad, fufu, African and Canadian greens, some fritters made out of cauliflower, squash, and banana, Somali eggplant, and we had some sparkling water with edible flowers frozen into the ice cubes as a garnish. The materials that you need for this project are some really nice cookbooks with beautiful photographs and illustrations to inspire you about what to cook and also what to draw, some water to wash your brush, some pencil crayons, and some watercolor pencils. We use both because the pencil crayons will give you a nice hard line, which is good if you're going to be printing your menus, and the watercolor pencils will work nicely with the vegetable dyes. You also need some watercolor paper, a sketch pad, eraser, pencil, and pencil sharpener, an arrangement of brushes, and the vegetable dyes. So these are paints that are actually made from vegetables from the garden or from household items like turmeric. And they probably should be prepared ahead of time. You just boil whatever onion skins or beets or the purple cabbage or blueberries for half an hour and then just put it through a strainer, and it makes these beautiful pigments. The turmeric, you just put in water and shake it up and you get this really nice color. So for my menu illustration, I chose these Tuscan style mushrooms. They're nice, interesting shapes and colors and fairly simple to draw. And I like mushrooms, so that's what I'm going to do. Starting with my sketch. So just like in some of the other lessons, you take the paper size that you'll do your final piece on and trace it onto your sketch pad. So everything's to scale. And do these lovely curvy shapes. It just gives me a rough idea of how I'll place this on my paper. So now I'm ready to transfer that onto my watercolor paper. Once you're putting it on your watercolor paper, you should do it very lightly because any of the colors will come through. So I'm just going to do you might not even be able to see it, but I can see it. Okay. So with this technique of using pencil crayons, watercolor pencils, and the vegetable dyes, I start with the pencil crayons and the watercolor pencils. So I'm going to decide where I want my harder lines, usually the edge, so it's a clearly delineated design. So just some brown for that edge because it has those nice crispy looking And then I'll use my watercolor pencils where I want the colors to bleed a little bit, so more in the interior of the piece. Put some of these lovely herbs in here, all over the mushrooms. Mixed media is fun because it gives kids exposure to lots of different ways of doing things, and it opens things up to more experimentation because you have more things to work with. Okay, I'm going to switch to using the vegetable dyes now. So I'm going to do the background, and I'm going to choose I think one of these rich colors, like this rich beet color. It's a beautiful color. These are really easy to make. The only problem is with the purple cabbage. It's a beautiful color, but it does have a strong cabbagey smell. So some kids might not, you know how kids are. Ew, that's not a good smell. But I like the color, so I'll live with it. I'm actually going to use some of that purple cabbage. So we have this nice magenta of the beet. We have more purple of the purple cabbage. And then I'm going to use some of the blueberry. Which is a little bit richer in color. Just circle all that for the background. And the idea of this lesson is to show children that yes, we can grow food to eat, but there's other uses of the harvest as well. Like say we have lots of beet leaves left over from harvesting our beets. Well, we can boil those and make paint. And it's really fun. They love doing things like that. Okay, now I'm going to work in some of these browns and oranges into the mushrooms and start blending my watercolor pencil lines. So there's the onion skin. That gives a nice golden color. And you see how the watercolor pencils, they start spreading and mixing with the colors around them, which is really nice. These, of course, are non-toxic because they're food. See, that's really blending nicely. It might ooze into the paint around it. That's okay. It gives an interesting effect. I'm going to add a little more shading here with the watercolor pencil. I think that needs a little brown around where the herbs are. They're not just green, they have little flecks of brown and gold around the herbs. Parsley probably. Looks like those were brushed with butter or olive oil and sprinkled with herbs and broiled or roasted in an oven or a toaster oven or even on a grill. You can do them on a grill. There's some really nice blending going on there now. I think they kind of look like mushrooms. A little more up in there. That's Lesson 10, Harvest Menu Creation and Illustration. Those are my beautiful mushrooms. See you next time.